At 4:45 a.m., the Kremlin is convinced their biggest threat is $2,000 mine north, responding to headlines about the U.S. buying Greenland to block China. Confident that Ukraine has cornered Music, Russian high command has stripped Crimea of its best air defense assets, redeploying them to the Murman region, Music, to flex their muscles in the polar circle. They are betting everything that Kiev won't notice the sudden gap in the Black Sea Fleet defensive Music umbrella. They bet wrong. NATO electronic intelligence, Music aircraft orbiting the Black Sea, picked up the radio silence immediately. The encrypted signal to Kiev was short and brutal. The Music door is open. 20 kilometers off the Crimean coast, Ukraine answers that silence with a ghost. A single Mura 55C drone is slicing through the swells. But this isn't a standard suicide run. Riding inside its hull are 4 fiber-optic FPV drones. They are moving silently to strike the heart of the Russian naval drone base at MN, while the guards are looking north. The Arctic distraction opened the door, but the Mura still has to deliver the bomb. At 4:30 a.m., the Magura 55 launched 400 meters away, navigating solely by inertial guidance to keep its radio silence. The 6-foot swells that hide the drone also batter its hull, threatening to swamp the electronics with every wave. For the operator in Odessa, it's been a white-knuckle marathon, of course. Corrections, Music fighting drift and current to keep the ghost on track, but stealth at sea is a myth when you're facing a Russian Nebo-M coastal radar complex. This beast can track a hypersonic missile at 250 meters. Technically, the Mura is too small and too low to register, but the sea state is Magura V5 launches 400 miles away. Inertial navigation, only rough Music, and the drone's weight creates a distinctive anomaly in the wave patterns. A digital scratch on the radar operator's glass screen. It's not a solid lock, but it's enough to trigger an alarm aboard the Dmitry Rogachev, a Project 22,160 patrol ship guarding the outer perimeter. The captain doesn't Music hesitate. He doesn't know what it is, but he knows it doesn't belong there. Moments later, the Rogachev's flight deck lights up and a CA-27 Helix helicopter lifts off its twin rotors, churning the humid air. This is the hunter of the pair. It dips Music its nose and races toward the anomaly at 140 knots, ready to drop a pattern of RGB-NM1 sono, floating microphones designed to listen for the specific hum of an engine. Music. The Ukrainian operator sees the telemetry spike as the helicopter closes in. Standard procedure, Music, says turn around or die. Instead, he engages dive mode. With a keystroke, he floods the Magura's ballast tanks, dropping the vessel even lower until its deck is awash, leaving only the communication antennas and camera exposed. Simultaneously, the comm system switches to a mesh radio network. While the Russians blast the airwaves with jamming noise, the drone signal begins hopping frequencies 500 times a second, weaving through the interference like a needle through fabric. The sonobuoys hit the water, but they hear only the ocean. The Mura slips into the noise of the ocean, invisible, silent, and now just 20 minutes from the harbor mouth. The trap is set. At 4:52 a.m., the Mura 55 Music reaches its terminal waypoint Magura detected by Dmitry Rogachev exactly 20 meters from the Crimean coast. The operator sends a pulse command, and the sleek sea drone undergoes a mechanical metamorphosis. Hydraulic actuators hiss, Music forcing the dorsal panels open to reveal a pneumatic launch rail. This is the moment the ghost boat becomes the world's smallest aircraft carrier. In rapid succession, 4 Queen Hornet FP5 Music drones are catapulted into the dawn sky, their rotors screaming as they stabilize at 150 aft. But these aren't your standard radio-controlled toys. Trailing from the tail of each drone is a microfilament of fiber optic cable, a glass leash no thicker than a human hair that physically connects them to the mothership. On the shore, the Russian air defense grid finally wakes up. The radar operator inside a Panzer S-1 vehicle sees 4 low-altitude contacts pop up on his scope like acne. He doesn't hesitate. The Panzer, a $15 million beast designed music to kill cruise missiles, slew its turret. A 57 E6 missile roars off the rail, accelerating to Mach 3 in 2 seconds. It's a math problem the drone can't solve. The missile intercepts the lead Hornet at a range of 12 mi, detonating its fragmentation warhead and turning the plastic drone into a cloud of confetti. 1 down, 3 to go. The Russian operator smirks and flips the switch for his Casca 4 electronic warfare suite, flooding the airwaves with enough jamming noise to disconnect every Wi-Fi router from here to Turkey. He expects the music remaining 3 drones to drop out of the sky like stoned birds. They don't music because you can't jam light. While the Russian jamming signals scream music into the void, the Ukrainian pilots are watching 1080p video feeds through their unjammable music fiber optic cables with 0 latency. They see the Panzer battery clearly, launches 4 Queen Hornet FPV sitting exposed on the coastal berm. The pilots execute a split S maneuver. 2 drones brake hard, left and right, acting as decoys to pull the Panzer's fire control radar apart, while the 3rd drone, the Hunter, drops to treetop level. The Panzer's Autok cannons spit 30mm shells at the decoys, tracing lines of fire across the sky, but the system is overwhelmed. The Hunter drone closes the distance, ignoring the electronic chaos, and music slams its 10 lb-shaped charge warhead directly into the Panzer's spinning radar dish. The explosion doesn't destroy the vehicle, but music shatters the antenna array, instantly blinding the giant. The $15 million system, music, is now just a very expensive truck with a broken radio, and the remaining drones are through the gate. At 4:56 music AM, the Russian base commander plays his heavy card. Realizing that fiber optic drones imply a stationary launch platform nearby, he dispatches a Project 21980 music Gratchok patrol boat to hunt down the mothership. This 140-ton vessel, built specifically for anti-sabotage operations, roars out of the harbor at 30 knots, its bow cutting the water like a sledgehammer looking for a nail. The Mura 55 is now in a tactical straitjacket. It cannot maneuver to escape without snapping the delicate glass wires controlling the swarm. It is a sitting duck, bobbing helplessly in the swell as the patrol boat closes the distance. Its heavy 14.5mm machine guns already turning the water into a frothing white wall of death. The Ukrainian operator faces a binary choice aboard the mission to save the boat or sacrifice a pawn to save the Queen. He chooses the latter, diverting Drone 3 from the main attack group to intercept the interceptor. The engagement becomes a mismatch of physics. Music. The Russian gunners are trying to hit a target the size of a dinner plate moving at 90 mph while bouncing on high seas. A music task equivalent to shooting a hummingbird with a jackhammer. Tracers zip harmlessly past the camera, music feed, as Drone 3 ignores the suppression fire and executes a vertical dive directly at the Grachanok's bridge. The impact is surgical. The drone-shaped charge detonates music against the reinforced glass of the command deck. It doesn't sink the ship, but the blast overpressure inside the confined cabin, music, instantly concusses the bridge crew and shreds the navigation consoles. The patrol boat swerves violently to port, its rudder jammed and its crew, music, incapacitated. The heavy cavalry has been neutralized by a flying plastic toy, leaving the harbor entrance wide open for the final 2 drones. At 4:58 a.m., the Russian command center reaches a breaking point. With their radar blind and their patrol boat crippled, they panic and authorize a scorched earth solution. From the Jankoy airfield 60 miles inland, music, and his Kandar-M tactical ballistic missile roars into the stratosphere. This is a weapon designed to level city blocks now being deployed to hunt a single fiberglass boat. The $3 million missile screams down at Mach 6, slamming into the Mura's last estimated coordinates with enough kinetic energy to vaporize a destroyer. A geyser of seawater erupts 200 music feet into the air, shocking the ocean floor. But Hornet Hunter destroys Panzer radar dish. The strike is a spectacular failure. The Mura 55 had already completed its launch. cycle and drifted silent and cold miles away from the impact zone. It is no longer a boat, it is just a floating spool holder, music, and the unjammable glass wires remain intact. Inside the base, the situation devolves from organized music defense into absolute anarchy. The Russian electronic warfare officers have music cranked their Pol 21 and Kruka jammers to maximum output, creating an electromagnetic storm so intense it is likely microwaving their own lunch. On any other day, this would cause every drone within 10 mi to drop out of the sky like a stoned bird. But today, the laws of physics are wearing a Ukrainian jersey. The fiber optic cables act as a hardline tunnel through the interference, delivering crystal clear 1080p video with zero latency. Music. The operator in Odessa isn't fighting static. He is watching a high-definition live stream of Russian incompetence. Music. Through the drone's lens, the panic is visceral. Squads of naval infantry are spraying AK-12 tracer fire into the air, creating a desperate curtain of lead. But hitting a maneuvering FPV drone with a rifle is like trying to catch a fly with chopsticks during an earthquake. The remaining Panzer S-1, its radar, confused by the ground clutter and the plastic composition of the drones, music spins its turret helplessly, unable to achieve a lock. The drones weave through the music tracers, banking hard past the burning patrol boat and diving toward the main complex. The operator ignores the scattering soldiers. He is hunting bigger game. The camera feed zooms in on the primary target. A reinforced concrete hangar at the end of the pier, its blast doors carelessly left open during the morning scramble. Drone 3 sacrifices to disable bridge intelligence confirms this is the nest, the storage and maintenance facility, music, for Russia's own fleet of attack drones. Inside, the operator spots the jackpot stacks of high-explosive warheads sitting next to unshielded aviation fuel drums. The Russians have unknowingly packed their own powder keg. The lead drone aligns music its vector, threading the needle through the open doors at 60 mph. The defense has failed. The sledgehammer missed. The needle is in the vein. At 4:59 a.m., the feed from the lead drone stabilizes for the terminal run, broadcasting the last 10 seconds of its existence music in crystal clear high definition. The hangar looms large, a cavernous music mouth of concrete and steel that houses the heart of Russia's Black Sea unmanned fleet. Through the lens, the chaos on the ground slows to a surreal crawl. Russian guards, realizing their rifles are useless, scramble over crates and fuel lines in a desperate stampede, music for the exits. One officer stands frozen, staring directly into the camera. His music face, a portrait of realization that his career and likely his life is ending in a pixelated blur. The operator in Odessa narrows his focus to a single point. The cluster of light gray crates music stacked against the rear wall. Intelligence identifies these as 400 lb high-explosive warheads intended for Russia's own Lancet drones sitting music, dangerously close to a pallet of aviation fuel drums. It is a target so volatile that a spark would be catastrophic. A direct hit will be biblical. The drone screams over the threshold of the hangar doors, dropping to 5 ft above the concrete floor. The wind shear from the burning patrol boat outside beats the airframe, but the fiber optic tether, music, holds firm. The distance counters on the screen plummet. 200 YD, 100 wide. The details of the target become hyper-real. Music. The stencil markings on the warhead crates, the rust on the fuel drums, the terrified eyes of a mechanic, music, diving for cover. There is no electronic countermeasure, no jammer, and no prayer that can stop physics. Now, the $250,000 ghost boat and its glass-wired bees have outsmarted a billion-dollar defense music grid. The screen fills with the gray steel of the warhead crate. The video feed dies, but the physics is just getting started. The drone's 22 lb shape charge warhead impacts the munition stack at 90 mph. It injects a jet of molten copper into the heart of the Russian stockpile at Mach 25. The initial blast is small, barely enough to crack the concrete music floor, but it provides the activation energy for the real event. Within milliseconds, the stored Russian warheads intended to terrorize Ukrainian cities sympathetically detonate. The result is a textbook example of a catastrophic chain reaction. The explosion vaporizes the nearby aviation fuel drums instantly, creating a thermobaric pressure wave that treats the hangar's reinforced steel walls like wet cardboard. The roof of the facility, weighing tons, is lifted 300 ft into the air on a column of fire visible from Sebastopol. The shock wave rolls outward, flattening the perimeter fences and tossing the burning wreckage of the patrol boat onto the shore like a discarded toy. In exactly 30 seconds, a naval base worth Iskander-M missile misses Magura, music, over $100 million, is converted into a crater of twisted metal and regret. But the physical damage is nothing compared to the psychological trauma this strike inflicts. For the Russian Black Sea Fleet, this is the final nail in the coffin, music, of their confidence. First, they lost their flagship, the Moskva, to Neptune missiles. Then they lost the Ivanovets and the Caesar Kunov to sea drones. Now they have lost the very base designed to protect them from those drones. It creates a paralyzing siege mentality among the Russian command. They are now fighting music, a ghost they cannot see, cannot jam, and cannot stop. The message from Kiev is terrifyingly clear. There is no safe harbor, not in the water, not on the shore, and not behind your billion-dollar electronic walls. Geopolitically, this is a disaster for the Kremlin. Remember the Greenland gamble from the beginning? Putin stripped his southern flank naked to flex his muscles in the Arctic. Music, hoping to project global power. Instead, he just proved that Russia is suffering from severe imperial overstretch. They tried to checkmate NATO in the north, but got checkmated by a garage-built navy in the south. It exposes the uncomfortable truth that Western analysts have suspected music for months. The Russian military is a beast with long arms, but a very glass jaw. Let's look at the economics, because they are terrifying for Moscow. Ukraine used a single Mora mothership and 4 modified hobby drones, a total package costing roughly $250,000. In exchange, they deleted a $100 million logistics hub, crippled a patrol boat, and humiliated a layered defense grid. That is a return on investment that would, music, make Wall Street blush. Outro Russia is hemorrhaging money and assets to fight a war against an enemy that is spending pennies on the dollar to burn them down. The lesson for today is simple. In modern warfare, innovation beats hardware every single time. You can have the biggest missiles and the strongest radars, but if you can't stop a plastic drone on a glass leash, you've already lost. Russia built a fortress to stop an army, but they forgot to close the window for the bees. So, here's the question for you. With unjammable fiber optic drones now in play, does the Black Sea Fleet even have a future, or are they just floating targets waiting for their turn? Let me know your prediction in the comments below. And if you want to see what happens when Ukrainian engineering meets Russian arrogance again, make sure to subscribe. Bye for now.